Most service members spend years trying to maximize their paycheck while completely ignoring the one advantage that actually determines their long-term security. And here's the part you should concern you. Civilians would trade almost anything to have this advantage. High salary, more vacation time, even job flexibility. But inside the military, it feels normal, so it gets ignored, underused, and often completely wasted. Well, today I'm going to show you what this overlooked advantage really is, why it matters more than most people realize, and how to use it. Your time in uniform actually changes your future. Because if you don't use it intentionally, you can serve for years, even decades, and walk away with far less than you should have. This is the Adjutant. One of the biggest mistakes service members make is focusing only on visible benefits, and that includes your pay, your bonuses, your special pays, your deployment money, your tax-free income. Those are easy to understand because they show up immediately. But the most powerful advantage in the military are not immediate, they're structural. They work slowly, quietly in the background over years, and because they don't feel dramatic day to day, they don't feel important. Another reason people miss this advantage is familiarity. If you've been in long enough, everything starts to kind of feel routine. You get paid on the 1st and the 15th, healthcare just works, housing allowance shows up, your job is stable, your brain categorizes all of this as just normal life. But step aside the gate into the real world, the civilian world, and suddenly you realize none of this is normal. Income stability, healthcare uncertainty, layoffs, student loan debt, housing insecurity. Most civilians are navigating a completely different risk environment. And yet, many service members don't leverage their stability while they have it. They wait. I'll start investing later. I think about retirement later. I'll figure it out when I get out. Later is where advantages go to die, folks. So what is the overlooked advantage? It's not the one single benefit. It's the military system of stability, predictable income, guaranteed progression opportunity, subsidized living costs, healthcare security, retirement pathways, education benefits. Individually, each benefit is helpful. Together, they create something extremely rare, a low-risk environment for long-term growth. In other words, the military gives you the conditions needed to build wealth, skill, and security, if you choose to use them, that is. Now think about a predictable income alone. You know exactly when you're going to get paid. You know your promotions will increase in time. You know housing costs are partially covered, if not totally covered. That predictability makes planning very possible. And planning is what civilians often struggle with. Now imagine a civilian with a decent job. They might actually even earn a good salary, but they live with constant uncertainty. Recently in the news, for example, I think it was UPS that just offered these buyouts. Now, they might earn a good salary, but they leave with constant uncertainty. Will the company downsize? Will healthcare premiums increase? Will the need to relocate at their own expense ever happen? Will their retirement plan even exist in 20 years? Many civilians are one disruption away from serious instability. A medical issue, for example, a job loss, a housing crisis. That uncertainty forces short-term thinking, survival-first mindset, growth later. Now compare that, folks, to military service. Your paycheck doesn't disappear because your supervisor had a bad day. Your health care doesn't vanish during a crisis. Your housing allowance doesn't swing wildly with the economy. This stability is not just a convenience, it's a strategic advantage. Stability alone doesn't create success. Intentional action does. One of the smartest ways to leverage military stability is early investing, because many of your essential costs are partially covered. You can invest at a higher percentage of your income than most civilians can. Even modest contribution made consistently over time compound dramatically. Another powerful lever is skill development. The military offers training, certifications, leadership experience, and education benefits. And the world costs thousands of dollars in the civilian world. Many people leave service with only skills required for their immediate job. They don't build transferable skills. They don't prepare for the next chapter. They don't stack credentials while the system is paying for it. Then there's housing benefits are another area where advantages can quietly disappear. Some service members use housing allowance strategically, choosing options that allow them to save part of the benefits. Others spend every dollar of it. I've seen this 1,000 times, and over time that difference compounds. Then there's lifestyle inflation. Income rises with rank and time in service, and expenses often rise right alongside it. You get a new car, they get a bigger house, more subscriptions to all these services out there, more obligations, if you will. If expenses grow at the same rate as income, the advantages just kind of poof, vanish away. You know, you hear these stories about millionaires that become broke after a certain period of time. You know, there was athletes and entertainers from, I think it was Mike Tyson and MC Hammer, had hundreds of millions of dollars and then end up finding themselves in financial distress years later. You know, well, here's a reality a few people talk about, folks. You can complete an entire military career and still struggle financially afterward, not because the benefits weren't there, but because they weren't used strategically. Some retirees rely almost entirely on pension income. Some leave with actually minimal savings. Some struggle to transition because they didn't build transferable skills. Opportunity was present while they're in the military, but preparation was not. This advantage isn't limited to 20-year careers. Even one enlistment can be transferable. For 4 to 8 years of stable income, education benefits, training, and healthcare and experience can launch a powerful civilian trajectory, but only if leveraged intentionally. Without a plan, those years just pass and the advantage fades. The military gives you advantages that most people will never have access to, but advantages alone don't determine outcomes. Your decisions do. If you want to understand the full financial power of a military career, pay, benefits, and retirement, long-term value, you need to watch this next video where I break down exactly what a military career is actually worth over time. I'll put that video right here. This is the Adjutant, and I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.